Another means that Europe, white people were able to defeat and colonize Africa was by dividing it, was by separate, dividing people. Okay, I'll use apartheid as an example, but that's not what I mean. But just to give you an example of what I mean by dividing people, where you find a reason to divide people, to say, oh, these people are different from those people. So apartheid in South Africa is the division and separation of people by the shades of their skin color. I wish my cousin is here, and I'm going to put up a picture of her or like any other of my family members. I think I'm going to do this actually, just put up a picture of my families, and so people that I'm related to by blood, right? And someone came into South Africa and said, if you are this shade of color, you are, I don't know if they mean a different race, but the point is people were separated and they have to live separately. These people that have this shade of skin color cannot mix with, that I don't, it's hard to explain because it's crazy, but it was real. It happened, right? And that is the separation of people by color. They separated people. I don't know. I have to look into the history of Congo, because when I look at African countries, I see a lot of Congo in different countries. Democratic Republic of the Congo. As I don't know, how are there so many different countries of Congolese people? I don't get it. So maybe I haven't looked into it, I haven't understood that properly. So I might be talking out of terms, but that's what I think about when I talk of separation of people. And they separate people by religion as well. But I'm talking mainly about countries. Now, every single country in Africa, now we think of it as Africa, like, but it hasn't always been so, right? All these different countries, all these different people that were colonized by Europe, where the names that we bear now are given to us by the colonizers, depending on the country that colonized you. Is it's the name of the country that we now have currently. For instance, Nigeria was colonized by the British, and they were named, and the country that we have now as Nigeria was named so by British. And the French named the people they colonized after their own language, like Cote d'Ivoire and stuff like that. And so I want to talk about separating people, so they become different people. And I want to talk about that because of a bigger thing, right? Which is, I've opened Google several times and I see something about Africa separating in two. I have to like study that properly, but I've read about it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've read the article that I see on Google, but I have to, because it's so very confusing to me. But I have to look into it further. But I'm going to put that up here. That Africa is separating, so it's about to become two separate continents. And they say that this is normal, that this is how the earth separates itself in continents. But if you understand the fact that the colonization of Africa didn't start when you think it started, because every single time we talk about European colonization of Africa, we think of like the one that I just talked about, British colonizing Nigeria. We don't know anything beyond that. Nobody even talks about this. I live in Nigeria. We thought about colonization in Nigeria, but we never weren't taught about colonization in Nigeria. The way we were taught about colonization in Nigeria, we were taught it. You learned about it, and the idea that you took from the classes is that it's a good thing. And I feel like it makes people use the word colony and colonization without the weight that it actually is supposed to carry. We talk about colonizers, we use the word colonization, but without the stigma that is supposed to go with it. And that is because of the way we were taught about these things, right? So, but what I want to say is that colonization in Africa didn't start then. It started thousands of years before the last time, this time that we talk about all the time, when the Greeks colonized Egypt. And this is a much bigger problem about colonization is not just the destruction of lives or what they take from the people or how they change or influence the people's culture and the way they live their lives. Is what happens 1,000 years later. Is that whatever is true about us right now, if anyone attacks us right now, they don't just change the things that becomes of us in the future. They deny who we are right now before the colonization. And what I mean by that is I'm going to use Egypt for an example. Right now, every time I see people arguing online on the internet that Egyptians are white people, like that. I'm not talking about Egyptians when they look at Egyptians today. I'm talking about people are arguing that ancient Egyptians, the first Egyptians, that they are white. And black people have to argue that no, Egyptians are black, which is crazy, seeing as Egypt is in Africa and white people come from Europe, right? And people are making these arguments. It's very strange. Someone brought up a picture the other day. I looked at the picture. The comment was like, see that one at the side, she doesn't look very black. That is a queen whatever of Egypt. And the argument is that ancient Egyptians are white. You know why that is, and why people are arguing about it is because they don't realize that Egypt was colonized by white people thousands of years ago. When you understand that and they bring up a picture that is thousands of years old, it won't be so surprising that there is someone that has light skin in Egypt at that time. Especially aside from the fact that I know Nigerians that are so light skinned right now, you could argue looking at them physically that they are white, let alone I'm not talking about someone that has albinism. I don't know if that's how they say it, but like an albino. I'm not talking about albino. I'm talking about like one of my cousins, not one of my cousins, three of them from my mom's brother's children that are so light skinned, you think they are white. So if someone brings up their picture in 1,000 years, somebody is going to say, no, Nigerians are not black, because look at that picture, and that's a white man right there. That kind of idea is what I'm dealing with on the internet. I didn't engage, but like what people are talking about on arguing. But aside from the fact that Africans comes in the different shades of skin tone, I'm talking about colonization and the people and the fact that I'm understanding that people don't realize that Africa was colonized, that Egypt, part of Africa, which is Egypt and Eastern Africa, was colonized by Greeks thousands of years ago. So I haven't looked into the story of Alexander. I don't know if he's the one they call Alexander the Great, but Alexander is a white person. He colonized Egypt and he changed the people's, their country. Like, let me use the word country. He changed street name. He named places in Egypt after himself. So thousands of years later, it sounds as if it has always been like that, or that whatever was in Egypt was because of these white people. But those things were there before the white people looked at it and they wanted to be a part of it, and they took over it and they destroyed people to be able to maintain that control. And I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying. It's not just about colonies or the idea of colonization changing your lives and your future not being very bright. Is the fact that they change the story. It changes the story of who you are right now. If you are a king living in your kingdom right now and someone invades that kingdom and change your life and you become a maid and or a slave in your own kingdom while someone sits on your throne and takes charge of it and controls your life and makes your children slaves, it's not just that that happens, is that they will tell your story in 100 years. When they talk about you, they're not just going to say that you are a slave. It's not just going to be that you were a slave in your own kingdom. It's that they will say that you were never king to begin with. And that is what it has always been like with Africa. Every single country that America has destroyed in their war, all the different wars they are fighting in Africa countries or in Asian countries, they don't talk about who those people were, the things they accomplished in their country before the wars. They call these countries poor. They say this is a third world country. They don't tell you what they were before the wars, before the destruction that brought them down to become poor. They said they were never great. They never did. This is the things that people talk about all the time. Once I understand the ignorance of white people, or the fact that they don't know and they don't care to know. Like, if nobody teaches these things, fine. Like, there are a lot of history that I don't know about, like India or China or Asia, other Asian countries. So I don't expect for white people to know these histories about Africa. What is really, really sad to me is the fact that our people don't know our own history. And we are the ones that say these awful things about ourselves because of ignorance. And what I really, really want to do, and it's not easy for me making videos and talking about these things. I try to learn, and I feel like people need access to these informations. It's very, very available if you look for it online. But I want to do this for myself and for my people. And it's not always easy for me to put a camera on my face and talk about anything, let alone this. But I'm willing to do it. I just need to make arrangements of the best way to go about it, the way to talk, the segments, and how to talk about this in series, basically, so that I don't make very long videos. If I can calm down and map it up and talk about one thing at a time, maybe we'll make the video shorter and Yeah, I would really want to do this because it's so sad that we are the way we are out of ignorance, and it's even more terrifying that would would let these histories repeat themselves and again out of ignorance. So yeah.